Chapter 2. They don't want to face the truth. Because that truth exposes who they really are. They aren't afraid of what they did. They're afraid of what it reveals about who they really are. Because once they admit it, that they lied, that they betrayed you, that they walked away while you were bleeding, they must look into a mirror that terrifies them. One that says, maybe I'm not who I thought I was. Maybe I'm not the good person I pretend to be. And that is the reflection they can't bear. That's the truth they keep sprinting away from, not because they're unaware, but because they're unready. You see, most people aren't living in truth. They're living in a curated story, a polished self-identity that says, I'm kind, I'm loyal, I'm honest. But when their real behavior contradicts that image, they don't self-correct. They panic, and instead of growing, they deflect. They rewrite the story to survive, because to admit they were the villain, even for a single moment, would destroy the fragile illusion that lets them sleep at night. Let's take it deeper. Imagine someone who cheats in a relationship, then tells themselves, I did it because I wasn't being appreciated. Or someone who lashes out in rage, then says, they pushed me to that point. Those justifications aren't truth, they're armor. Armor designed to shield them from the emotional weight of accountability. Here's what most never learned. That accountability isn't just saying I'm sorry. It's about being strong enough to sit with the discomfort that follows. It takes emotional intelligence to say, I was wrong, and not rush to erase the shame. It takes spiritual maturity to ask, how can I do better, without making it about their own guilt? But most people weren't raised for that. They were trained to escape guilt, not examine it, to make excuses, to say you were too sensitive, to turn truth into drama and your pain into an overreaction. Because that way they don't have to grow. You do, and sadly, it works if you let it. If you start internalizing their avoidance, if you start whispering to yourself, maybe I expected too much. Maybe I really am hard to love. But let me stop you right there. No, you were not asking for too much. You were asking for something real in a world addicted to comfort and allergic to truth. And that's the root of the issue. Most people will do anything to avoid seeing themselves clearly, because once they do, they can't unsee it. And once seen, they either evolve or retreat further into denial. The Stoics saw this inner war clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change, for it is the truth I seek, not the illusion of pride. But today, most people don't seek truth. They seek relief. And truth, without pride, feels like ego muth. That's why they avoid you. That's why they ghost you. Not because they forgot they hurt you, but because they can't afford to feel what they caused. Because if they did, they'd have to change. And change is terrifying. Let's make this real. You finally gather the strength to speak up. Calmly, lovingly, clearly. You tell them how their words or actions hurt you. And what happens? They make a joke. They change the subject. They walk away. Or worse, they accuse you of being dramatic. That's not confusion. That's evasion. That's someone dodging the weight of their own behavior. Not because they don't understand, but because they don't want to feel what real accountability demands. Humility, vulnerability, effort. And some people would rather lose you than lose control. That's the paradox of emotional immaturity. They want love without responsibility. They want closeness without growth. They want intimacy without being confronted. So they ghost. They avoid. They act like nothing ever happened. And each time they do, they reinforce a story where they're the victim, and you're just too much. That story helps them sleep, but it robs them of the chance to evolve. Now here's the Stoic truth. You cannot force someone to see what they're not ready to face, and it's not your duty to drag them toward growth. Your duty is this: protect your energy, preserve your peace, stand in your truth. You don't need their confession to validate your experience. You lived it, you felt it, and that is enough. So next time someone acts like your pain never existed, remember, they're not innocent. They're just afraid. Afraid that if they admit the truth, the mask will fall. Afraid that you'll see what's behind the charm, the calm, the curated persona. And most of all, afraid that you'll walk away holding the truth they never had the courage to face. And maybe that's exactly what you need to do. If this stirred something in you, if it echoed a silence you've carried for too long, then keep walking with us. Here at the Chill Stoic, we don't run from silence. We sit with it, we learn from it, and we rise from it. One truth, one life lesson at a time. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's continue this journey together toward clarity, strength, and the quiet kind of freedom no one can ever take from you.